we're just really glad to have Brian, Ryan, and Tammy. I should have broken up Brian and Ryan with Tammy. I will do that from now on. But so let's start off. Ryan, let's start with you. Introduce yourself. How long have you been in the business? What does your team look like?
Me or Brian? I think you said me.
Ryan.
Okay. Hi, I'm Ryan Major. I have the Major team. We are actually in Lindale and Tyler, so in the Tyler Market Center. I've been a realtor since 2015, and I came to KW myself and my assistant last February after being at a boutique brokerage the whole time. And in July, we added 2 buyer's agents at the same time, which I don't necessarily recommend. And then we just recently brought on a second assistant. So we're rocking and rolling. Last year, we sold right around 80 homes and just under 24 million. So right out here in Little East Texas. And it's crazy because I didn't know what this panel was until I got the questions. And I'm like, why am I on this panel? I just have this brand new baby team. I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know. I need to go learn at this panel. So thanks for having me. I hope I have some little nuggets of wisdom to share, but we're learning and we're flying the plane as it lands and seeing what we can do.
You know, sometimes, Ryan, the best ways we learn are not what we do great. It's being open and saying, here's where I screwed up. So simply letting us know, hey, you've already given more people on this call value by saying, don't hire 2 buyer's agents at the same time. You can just drop the mic and walk off after that. Tammy, introduce yourself a little bit.
Did I unmute myself? Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, sorry about that. We had a little bit of a failure earlier on our technology. I am Tammy Rexroad. I'm with the Rexroad team here, and we are in East Dallas, Ryan, so we're right down the road from you. And Little East Texas is not little anymore. We are actually in the Dallas area, but on the east side of Dallas. We are a 4-member team. I've been in real estate for right at 8 years, and I go, wow, 8 years seems like yesterday, but time does fly when you're having fun, for sure. This year's commitment that we have for our team is right at over 100 units and 20 million in business. And for some people on this panel, that might feel like a small number. For us, it's going to be astronomical. The great thing that's happening for us right now is that we came out of Q1 50% of that goal. So we are super pumped to actually go over that goal and over our commitments this year. I will tell you that when I first started in real estate, I came to KW. I started here. So, and you know, red days right around the corner. That's just subliminal today. So I'm definitely, I believe, red. And through this process of growth, I truly don't think when I joined here that I thought I would be sitting here with a team of people. I think it's been a process of growth, and the love for teaching others is why I'm standing here. We've got 3 active agents, me being one of them, through the process, and 1 boss, as I say, and that's our administrative and marketing assistant, Mylan. She drives the bus for us. So that's a little bit about us. So thrilled to be here to also learn and also contribute today.
Cannot believe it's already been 8 years, Tammy. So
I know.
I had the privilege of being Tammy's first team leader.
Yes,
so,
he was.
When I saw you on the panel, I was
again today. Miss you.
I will tell someday. I'll tell you the story of Tammy. I tell her story to new agents all the time. She got her license the effective date of her license. She closed her first deal within 14 days. First day she jumped on an open house. Her first weekend, somebody walked in and said, "I'll buy it cash." So
I will tell you that was nerve-wracking, but I'll never forget it. And you know what? Those people are still my friends, and they never knew I was new.
Love it.
Thanks to you.
Brian, tell us a little bit about your team, your business. What's going on, man?
Hey, everybody. My name is Brian Davis. I decided it was going to be a good idea to get into real estate in 2008 because that was a fun market. And I was an individual agent until about 3 years ago. And I decided that I wanted to build a team because I found myself working, you know, all these crazy hours. And I was really sad that my children were growing up without me. And I wanted to, you know, make a commitment to be present for them. So I started working on a team. And the first thing I want to say is it is an honor to be on this team because that first panel, you know, y'all said so many great things. You're such a great inspiration. And I'm almost surprised that I'm not just sitting here like, you know, some slack-jawed crazy person, because my mind is rolling with all the stuff that you said. And then to parallel it, you know, it's such an honor to be here. But last year was our best year ever. I've got 2 admins. Right now I have a buyer's agent and a showing assistant as well. Last year we did just under 22 million, 95 units. And it was me, 2 admins, and a showing assistant that did that. So I am excited about taking territory and growing in 2021.
Awesome. I love that. So Brian, we'll just start with you. And I would love to know, when it comes to leading your team, how would you capsulize your overall leadership philosophy in leading your team?
It's a great question. You know, so much of it is learning by example and then leading by that example. And so one thing that really impressed me about KW was the first day that I started, I got my license, I had a listing appointment and I had no idea what that meant or what to do. And there was a gentleman, I was at the KW Flower Mound office at the time, and he spent half a day showing me how to do a listing, right? And so I've always taken that with me in the sense that whenever I teach classes or do things in the market center, I always tell people I'm doing this of my time. And I'm going to give to you in the hopes that you give to them, to give to someone else who needs it, right? And so we embody that on the team in the sense that we all have our strengths and we all know what we're really good at. And so from a leadership standpoint, I want to give all of my knowledge, my scripts, my training, my experiences, but I'm humble enough to know that the girls on my team that are on the admin side, they have knowledge too. And we come together and we mastermind with our new agents, and we help to get them off the ground and into production quicker by everyone sharing what we're an expert at. And so I think from a leadership standpoint, right now, that's not something I can do alone. It's something that I want to partner on because everybody's got skill.
Love that. And just a reminder, everyone on here, if you have a question for the panelists, pop it in the chat box. We will take a second at the end and ask them as we go through. So Ryan, you've kind of jumped into this world and you're kind of new in the leadership side, but how would you capsulate your philosophy around leading your team?
So I definitely agree with Brian, and I lead a lot the same way. I feel like when we get better, we get better. So I try to lead by example a lot. I set the tone for my team, and I take that very seriously. And I know that, like, if I'm having a rough day and I come into the office and I'm chaos, then I'm going to create chaos around me. So it is hard because my assistant's also one of my best friends. So she can tell, even if I'm trying to like put it, she'll be like, okay, what's going on? And then we have to have our minute. But, you know, when we get better, we all get better. And that's my goal. So I try to myself, I'm taking all the classes I can. I'm trying to learn everything I can. I'm always trying to do better, to do more. And I try really hard to be coachable. And so as I'm coaching my team, I'm also being coached. I have a KW coach. So I think that's super important as well. So that's kind of my philosophy, and I think it's working. I think they're picking up on it.
Love that. I love it. Tammy.
I truly think ditto, Ryan and Brian. I love that. It's kind of rhymes nicely. But I think leadership is really listening. I think 80% of the time when we huddle, and we do huddle at least 3 times a week, and the boss of the office, Mylan, she drives those, but it's really listening and listening to each person's needs. Each member on our team is of like mind. We are all trainable, learnable, but we've also all got different needs based on what is happening right now and that week within the business. And so I truly believe in listening more than talking, because that way we can formulate and put together and build everyone's business within our team to a better direction. I hope that makes sense, because I think that mapping out a need and mapping out a training education program for each and every person based on the time frame is really important.
Love that. Love that. So let me ask you guys this. So we got a big question coming in here, and I'm going to divert. I hate to do this to you all because I know you sat down, you did your homework, you asked your questions, but we are finally seeing everybody wants to hear from this trio of panelists. So we're getting a lot of questions coming in. But I love this one because I know this is something a lot of people face, right? And so they ask, so when you're going from a solo agent where you're the only face, the only experience of your brand, and where you are beginning to pass off buyers, you're beginning to referrals, giving them to your agents. Do you feel clients who refer others to you expect that those people will work with you and not others on your team? And so let me expound that, because I would also like to hear, did you start with that as a potential issue in your business? Because I feel like a lot of agents do. And how did you overcome that? Let's start with, we'll go first. Let's go with you, Ryan.
I was terrified of that. And because this was also new, right? So I'm not even a year into this deal of having buyer's agents. And I was so nervous because I run a referral based business. I don't pay for leads. And so I'm like, these people, they want me, they trust me, they know me. But what I found out was that they want me, they trust me, they know me. And if I trust them, so do they. And so it's just a matter of communicating to them like, hey, listen, I'm not like on the beach in Cabo. I'm still in the office. I'm still here. You still have the major team. I'm still a part of this. I just can't be everywhere. So I trust Brian and Tony. I'm telling you, you can trust Brian and Tony. And if y'all get in a bind, you've got my cell phone number. Like, call me. Yeah. And if I need to, yell at them, I can. But I never do, because I've picked the right people and I trust them.
Love that. Brian.
Ryan said a lot of smart things. I too have a referral-based business. Like last year, 92% of our business came from referrals, sphere of influence, past clients, right? Yeah. And so I carried that with me for too long. But exactly like she said, your clients are coming back to you because they trust you. They know you, they know how you work. And so all of the people, if you have good hires, you're making a good extension of it, right? But I share it. Everybody on my team is my partner. We all work with each other and for each other. But I'll take my listing manager with me on an appointment so that people can meet her, because she's their point of contact. Same with a buyer's agent. Like if I've got a buyer's agent, I'll still go on the consultation, but I let him know, I set that expectation. So, Sandra is going to be with you. She's going to take care of you. I'm always going to be here. But agents, please, I love these panels because people have gone before you, have made mistakes before you. I made this huge mistake for years. Please don't make it. It's all in your head. I promise you. Like your clients, if they love you, they will always love you.
Love that. Tammy?
It's really true. And a couple of key things that we did differently this year is when all my business cards have every team member on it. You'll see all of our marketing has every team member's picture on it. When I send off an email now, it doesn't just have Tammy's picture on it. It also has the team member's picture on it. So that kind of helps that process to me, because go back to the both of you, 85% of our business last year was still referral. So it can be a little bit heartburn. It has a little touch of heartburn there at first, but putting out our marketing and making sure that everyone knows that we are a team, so that way they get better service than I could have ever given alone, right? And then the second thing is when I have particularly a past client calling in and we make an appointment to talk, I always get either Heather or Taylor on the line, and we have a three-way conversation. So we all go through that buyer needs checklist together, and they immediately feel connected to us. So those are just a couple of things that have really helped us through that transition and the heartache.
I love that. And I would say this, I've always, I don't even remember who to give credit for the first time that I heard this, right? But our clients don't do business with our personalities. They do business with our standards, right? What their experience is and what they loved about doing business with us was the standards that we held and the experience that created for them. And I think that goes back to some of the stuff we said earlier, that this is the key thing is, how do we make sure that everybody on our team is holding up the standards that we have, right? Because that's where policies, guidelines, accountability, all of that stuff becomes vital and crucial when we're looking at it going, I need to make sure that my listing manager, right, Brian? I need to make sure that my buyer's agent Tammy, I need to make sure that a showing assistant, I need to make sure that these people are going to have the same standards of care and concern with my clients as I do, right? And so I love those, all of those. That's the way I've always told it. I'm finding, so my family's a real estate family, and my father passed away a couple of years ago, but I would say from 1994 until he passed away, my dad could not comprehend the idea of letting one of his clients work with somebody else. And it's probably the reason my mom and dad worked 7 days a week, 75 hours a day, all that stuff. So,
Tommy, I mean, if everyone on the team has the same ethics, morals, and we are all working towards the love of people and relationships, which that's part of the standards of being a part of our team, then I very well trust that each and every one of us treat our clients with the same respect and the same proactive approach.
we got a question as well in here, and that is, are you purchasing leads for your team? And I'm going to add to this because it was a previous question from the last panel. And if so, do you have a certain threshold that you look to provide per team member a month? And if not, where are your team member leads? Are they generating themselves, or are they using your database and so forth to go? So let's start with Tammy.
You know what? That's a great question. And it's also a piece of heartache that we have a lot of. We are purchasing some leads at this point in time. However, one of our goals on that particular topic this year is to, by the end of this year, to be completely out of that realm. Because I think the number one goal was that we put it out there for truly to get additional marketing and face value in certain zip codes. But we still realize that 85% of our business is through referral. So why do that piece of it? So part of our goal is truly shifting to spend that money on the additional love factors to our current database and our advocates.
Brian?
I have purchased leads in the past as a single agent because I felt like everyone else is doing it, so I should probably do that too.
Brian, try it. You'll like it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. And so it's one of those things where I found out that I didn't like it. And I was making a bazillion calls to random people that didn't know me and didn't care. And they were like, why are you calling me anyway? Stop doing that. And so, under this, like graying beard, I still have a little sensitive heart. And it made me sad that people didn't want me to call them. So what did I want to do? Well, I wanted to call the people that like me, the people that make me feel good, right? And so we doubled down on our database. We do a little bit of farming. We've got good letters for that, but really, there's always a reason to call. And I feel like that's one of the biggest objections that I hear from a buy side team is, why do you want me to call the buyer, my database again? I've called them a bazillion times. Man, there's always a reason to call, because if they love you, they trust you, they do want to hear from you, So for me, no, we don't buy. And that's why our business is a little bit more profitable than maybe some of the models. But last year we had a 54% profit margin for, a small team. I was impressed with that.
Yeah, love that. That's a great number. Ryan.
So I don't pay for leads, but I do pay for impressions, because I think we need to switch the language here. Because as we all know, we can purchase Facebook leads through command, but I don't necessarily see them as leads. I see them more as impressions, because these are not necessarily pre-qualified, ready to go buyers. They're just someone who saw the house on Facebook and thought it was cute and clicked it. So to me, that's more of an impression. We do purchase those. When those come in through the command database, my awesome assistant who runs my show, Megan, she hands those out. And that is we call them, and then we are making notes in their account in command. Part of our accountability on our team is that Megan then goes once a week and she checks the guy's notes to see, okay, Brian, it says you called this guy on Monday. You were supposed to follow up with him Wednesday. What did he say? Because you forgot to put notes in here. And she's hardcore, man. She will call you out. And that's the best part. So we do a lot of Facebook campaigns. We always have at least 3 going, but those are so cheap. Like command makes it so easy. We love that. I'm also a Dave Ramsey endorsed local provider. So I do pay for that membership. It's expensive, but The thing about those, when they come in, they are leads, and it's typically results in multiple transactions because I then convert them into a referral source. So for me, that's worth it for the expense. Those are the lead services that we pay for. Otherwise, I am a huge proponent of calls, notes, and pop buys. You will always see a stack of cards on my desk that Megan gives me that I'm supposed to write handwritten notes in every day. Sometimes it gets done. And then we do the normal farming and mailers, but it's mostly to my sphere of influence, the mailers and stuff. We do have pop buys for neighborhoods that we don't have a lot of activity in. And those will be going out this week. They are Easter s'mores with a peep and a graham cracker and a thing. And it says we need more peeps. They're really cute. So I guess those could be paid for leads, but it's really more just loving on our people and they love us back.
Love that.
Love
I
that.
love that. You know, Ryan, you bring up a great point there that I think is, you know, I'll just use, I know that sometimes things are going, but sometimes the prices, depending on where we're at in our region, running a Facebook ad, the cost per impression or the cost per name. I always try to explain that as you're actually paying to grow your database, right? And if you're spending $2 a name to put in your database and half of them are any good, right? And so let's just say you're now spending $4 a name in your database. If our average, and we know that over time, let's just say our average commission is about $8,000 across the region. And we look at that and realize, okay, so every person in my database, it takes 10 people in my database to transfer into a deal. So every person in there is worth $800. So if I can spend $4 to get a name that within the next 24 months turns into $800, then I think that is a great return on investment. And that's the way I look at it. When you said that, Ryan, when you said we're buying impressions, that's what I thought of immediately. I love that. That's a great
Wait,
word.
yeah.
All right. Well, let's move back. We'll kind of go back. I think we are out of all the questions in the group. So guys, you can go back to script. As we get into this, how have you guys felt? So right, each one of you have been in a place. Ryan, last year, you felt it was time and you added 2 buyer's agents, right? Tammy, you've grown over the last 8 years to a place where you didn't think you would ever have a team. And now here you are on a panel talking about how to build a team. And Brian, same thing. You a long time until 3 years ago, you were in the business, right? So for almost 11 years, 10, 11 years at the time, you didn't. How do you know when it's time to grow your business by adding people? Let's start with you, Tammy. You're all looking at me because I forgot to say who it was.
I remember the day I was talking with my MAPS coach, and I've had a MAPS coach for over 4 years now. We just added a MAPS coach to one of our to Heather on our team. But I remember the day that I told my MAPS coach I needed to drop coaching because I just didn't have time to do it all. Now I knew better. I had hit the ceiling. I was beyond the ceiling, and I wasn't pushing through, and I knew what to do. I wasn't doing it.
How long did your MAPS? How long did
you talk and see what you need to do to be able to keep coaching because you love it, and then also drive the business. So leverage was something that really needed to happen, but I was resistant to it. But it was heartburn and not being able to push through that ceiling.
How long did your MAPS coach let you get by with saying that? How long? How many seconds was it?
5 minutes, like 5 minutes. She said, "Hold on right now." She's still my coach, by the way. I've had 3, so she's still my coach to this day, and she helped me maneuver through that process of really truly adding that person. Now, you know, we're hoping that this time next year, as we sit here, that we've hit that heartache and heartburn piece again, where then we will be able to add that additional help into the office. And Mylan will tell us, when she says, "I can't take one more thing that you're handing me, Tammy," then we'll know that is time. But I remember that day like it was yesterday.
Ryan?
So I will start with when I hired Megan. Her actual title is Badass Executive Assistant. She has a copy that says it. at the end of 2019, I had done 52 transactions by myself with no assistant, and I thought I was going to actually die. Like I was so tired, I couldn't function. And I put an ad out on Indeed and I started interviewing these people. And I was like, where did you come from? Like, I can't hire you. And I just remember praying, like, Lord, I need someone who understands my vision for this business. And we were at Bible study, and I told my Bible study group, like, just help me pray that someone who has a brain comes through this Indeed site, because I don't know what I'm going to do. Well, Megan had just joined our church and just come from West Texas. And after group, she texted me and she goes, can I have the job? And I was like, you have a master's degree. You don't want this job. And she's like, no, I do. And so that day I hired her. Like I was like, here's my notebook paper of things I need you to do. And she has been phenomenal. Like I can't say enough awesome things about her. She was literally a godsend. So that's how I ended up with Megan. Then as 2020 rolled through, I was again dying, and like I could not keep up with all the buyers. I had found myself very buyer heavy, and I was looking for buyer's agent. And this guy who had just gotten his license and just joined KW asked if he could host one of my open houses for me with his friend who also just joined KW. And I was like, yeah, okay. And so they hosted this open house and we clicked, and I offered one of them the buyer's agent role, and they both wanted to come. And so I was like, oh God, like I can't have two of you. Like, I don't even know if I have enough leads for one of you. And I was very upfront with them. And I said, I'm really nervous about having both of you. And they said, we were going to be a team anyway. Just come on, like, let's do it. And so it's actually worked out really well. For those of you that don't know, all of my branding is hot pink. Everything is hot pink. I am, in my mid 30s, and my name is Ryan. So I branded everything hot pink so people would know I was a chick. And I hired 2 middle-aged men to be my buyer's agents. So on paper, it looks really strange, but it works very well. So we all get along great. And then when we hired Macy a couple weeks ago, it's because Megan is expecting. And so she was having to miss quite a bit of work. So we hired on Macy, and she's getting licensed, and eventually she'll be a buyer's agent also. So
Awesome.
that's how I knew.
Thank you. That's awesome. Brian, how do you know when it's time to grow, man? How do you know when it's time to go look and bring somebody else in?
I had spent 2 years up against the ceiling. I did 61 units with an assistant 1 year, and then the next year I did 63. And I thought, I've got to be able to do more than this, but I'm working my brains out and I'm tired. But one day I was sitting at home, and my little boy got up in my lap, and I was playing with him, and the phone rang. And so I said, hold on. And I answered the phone, and I talked to the customer, and I hung up, and he said, Daddy, when do I get to be more important than your phone? And at that point I was like, I was devastated. And so at that point I was like, I'm making a change. So I got a coach, and she put me on this plan to get it done. And so the thing I take away from it is 2 things. Number one, when there's talent, hire talent, because you can always make room for talent. And number 2, always have that growth mindset, because even in any market, you can grow. And there are people that need support from what you can give. Everyone's got their strengths and weaknesses, but be on the lookout for co-broking agents that are not surviving and or don't know what they're doing. They can't do comps, whatever it is, and just put that invitation out there, because the people that I've hired, everybody on my team except for one is a co-broke agent that I stole from another brokerage, because we meshed well in a deal, and I had a value proposition that they couldn't refuse.
Awesome. I love that. That is great. So guys, our time is running out here. So I'm going to go down the line again real quick. I'll start with you, Brian, because I'm just going to go left to right. So we'll go Brian, Ryan, and Tammy. What's the biggest lesson you've learned going from individual to running a team?
Lord have mercy. If I could say it, if I could take myself back in time, number one, people just go ahead and hire the coach, because you're going to need it. Don't be stupid like me and wait 8 years to do it. And believe in yourself. Always know your value. Never sell yourself short for nothing.
Thank you, Brian. That is awesome. Ryan, best lesson you've learned?
If you feel like you're drowning, ask for help.
Love that. That's good. Tammy.
Make sure you have a communication wave by which everyone can communicate, because we are all moving in different directions. And I've heard it said already on this, in this process, is that if you stop communicating, then your team can fall apart. very, very, very quickly and in many aspects. So the communication is key, just like anything else in life.
Thank you guys so much for being here.